Hey everybody, Jim here with a new video for you. This is number one in a very long series. Hopefully, if the views are good on these. I was reading an article the other day about how Blazing Saddles and Godfather 2 are both turning 50 this year, and I thought, wow, there were so many great movies that year that I'm going to start spotlighting each year, starting from 1974 all the way through this year, with the movies that I have in my collection on Blu-ray. But before we begin, if you give me a thumbs up or a subscribe if you like what you see, and at the end, leave comments. I would love to hear what you think about this series and if I should continue or just let it go and go from there. But, they can't all be winners, folks. But we are going to begin, as I said, in 1974. And the first release that I have in my collection, I figured I would start with it since it's got this nice little presentation. This is Steven Spielberg's first theatrical release, The Sugarland Express, with the beautiful Goldie Hawn. And it's a comedy drama. It's not his best movie, but you could tell it's from a young filmmaker, but it's still, it's Goldie Hawn and Steven Spielberg. So The Sugarland Express, that's the first one from 1974. Speaking of box sets here, James Bond's been around for a long time. And in 1974, it was The Man with the Golden Gun. The second release with Roger Moore as James Bond. There he is right there. There's the great Christopher Lee as Scaramanga, the villain in this movie. Not a top tier Bond film, but it's actually the first one I saw theatrically, so I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for The Man with the Golden Gun. Next, from my Mel Brooks collection, the aforementioned Blazing Saddles, but also Young Frankenstein. Two of the greatest comedies of all time. Both came out in 1974. I can't think of too many other directors that had a 1-2 punch like that in one year. That is incredible. I love both of those movies dearly. Anybody who's seen my Mel Brooks ranking video will know how much I love those movies. Okay, next we got another one of my favorite movies of all time, The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. I love this movie so much. Mean Machine. I said on an earlier video, my Kino video release, that, the Adam Sandler version is fine. This is the one I grew up on. This is the one that's more dramatic. It's more believable. It's a great story. It's one of Burt Reynolds' best performances. I love The Longest Yard. Next, we have a Sam Peckinpah film. I covered this one on one of my 5 movies you should see series. This is Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia with the great Warren Oates in the lead. This is a crime drama. Probably my favorite Peckinpah movie outside of The Wild Bunch. Although Straw Dogs is right there too. But again, 1974, what a great year for movies. Next, another movie that's been remade, The Taking of Pelham 123, and another one where I much rather would watch the original version. I mean, look at that cast. Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw, Martin Balsam, and Hector Elizondo. This is an excellent movie. It's one of the best movies of the 70s, quite frankly. And it's a classic. Not all of these movies are classics. They are to me, but this one definitely is. Next, I saw this one at the drive-in. Not Race with the Devil, that's coming out next year. But Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, with Peter Fonda, Susan George, Adam Rourke, and Vic Morrow. This movie was a huge inspiration to Tarantino when he did Death Proof. It's a drive-in movie, for sure. I saw it at the drive-in. There's a little plot synopsis. And again, you don't see this movie for the story. It's all about the car chases and the stunts. And this one's got one of those great endings. like Vanishing Point. If you've ever seen Vanishing Point, you know what I'm talking about. Next, Earthquake. One of the first memories I have of seeing a movie theatrically is this in Sensorround. I was 7 years old. Charlton Heston, Lauren Green, Genevieve Bujold, George Kennedy, Richard Roundtree. It goes on and on. I love Earthquake. It's cheesy as hell, but you could almost say that this one has also been remade as San Andreas, and I prefer Earthquake. How about, speaking of disaster films, The Towering Inferno, which you could also say has been kind of remade into a movie starring Dwayne Johnson with Skyscraper. But again, look at that cast. Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden, Faye Dunaway. And that's just the top billed cast. This is one of those Irwin Allen movies where, I mean, yeah, there you go. OJ. But yeah, Towering Inferno is still one of the greatest disaster movies of all time. It's a great movie. Then we're going to end the year 74 on a couple of horror movie classics. What many consider the first slasher movie. I don't know how accurate that statement is, but it's I'm not going to argue. It's Black Christmas, directed by Bob Clark, who also directed A Christmas Story, of all things. This is a classic. It's also been remade. In case you haven't noticed, almost all of these movies that I've mentioned have been remade. Well, not all of them, but, you know, a good portion of them. And the ironic thing is I don't own any of the remakes. I'll stick with the originals, and Black Christmas is a classic. It's great. But if we're speaking about horror classics released in 1974, we have to be talking about Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Still considered one of the scariest movies ever made. I love this steelbook. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is infamous. You know, it's one of those movies. So anyways, that's my collection of Blu-rays from 1974. If this series gets, you know, good ratings, I will continue it. And I guarantee some years will have a lot more movies than others. But starting off from 50 years ago, 1974, I'd say this is a pretty good selection of some pretty damn good movies all the way across the board. So until the next time, this is Jim. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.